It's the Center Fantasy Football League podcast.
Welcome to football.
Oh, I'm a football player.
Coach, I'd like to tackle him right now. Not yet.
Reviewing all of the league's scores and highlights.
These boys may have lost, but they in no way disgraced themselves. They disgraced me.
I think I made him shit himself.
And previewing the upcoming matchups and scenarios.
Red 7.
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route.
I don't. What is hot route?
Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Fuck you. Fuck you, little walk-on fuck.
Do you think it's possible that your mom won't love you anymore if she sees how bad you're losing in the game? That's why your guys are out partying, mine are running routes.
And now, here's your host,
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser!
David Harbadkin.
Hello and welcome to the Center Fantasy Football Podcast for episode 5 of season 12. I'm your host, David Harbadkin, joined by Mr. Gazalutsky of the Hackettstown Hagglers.
Hackettstown Losers.
And I don't even know. I totally didn't pay attention. I don't know what the other Hackettstown team did this week, but he's on the phone via phone because what are you doing?
Driving back to New Jersey.
He's driving back to New Jersey, so he's doing the worst thing that a person could possibly do. I will actually be heading back to New Jersey in a couple weeks too. So I'm sure you could let me know how it's. What did you do this week? Did you win? All right. Well, so you beat yourself. You beat your burner team. Who cares? Well, at least somebody on this program did. Well, or one. All right. Well, let's take a look at last week's games. So you can't see any of this, but trust me, it's on the screen, I think.
Okay.
So we'll talk about them, and then you could, discuss them. What game shall we start with, Geese? Since
Well, let's start with Manny, who's on the phone.
all right, let's start with him while we still have him on the phone. He's tried to Zoom during this, but Are you
I was glitching in the car.
are you actually driving?
I'm in the car.
He's a professional. Do not attempt this at home, right? We have to put that disclaimer.
Yes.
So the Hackettstown's finest defeats Gronky Kong 113.94 to 100.54. You are an upset. Look at that. He was favored against you. Moving your team to 4-1 and your burner team to 1-4. Look at that. A lot of close games this week, I think. So, I'm sure you're familiar with some aspects of the game, so I will let you detail those aspects. I mean, you're probably familiar with both sides of it, being that they're both yourself.
Well, they're both themselves. So actually, he's 5-5.
Right, exactly.
No, I did not use the guy that I acquired in trade this week. Zach Moss was playing the Ravens, and based on how the Ravens were stopping the Bills run in that Sunday night game, I was like, I'm going to stay away here. I basically kind of didn't take the benefit of that trade in this matchup. Moss didn't do that well anyway, which was kind of good for me. But I had a big bench blunder to start the week with benching Darnell Mooney with 31 points.
31.5.
So, Gaza was texting me I'm so surprised you didn't start Mooney, but I was like, I don't like playing people on Thursday night, and kind of iffy. And I thought it was going to be a long week with that, plus who missing two big field goals. He could have had easily. I think he had 15 points, which is good for a kicker, but I think he could have given me 23, 24 had he made those kicks.
Sure, he still had 15.4. He was fine.
He was fine. But then, Sunday started, and it was, I got really lucky because, Gronky Kong wasn't scoring touchdowns. His team wasn't really doing much. So refresh my memory since I don't have the screen up. So I started Fields, I believe, instead of CJ Stroud.
Yeah, so Fields got 19 points. Yeah, so Fields got 19.994 points. Stroud got 17.94. So you did play the better of the two, the better performer out of the two.
Yeah. And then
You should probably do your typical Dave Harbacken intro where you announce all the points so Friedman has a context.
So he remembers what happens. All right. So Fields gets 19.94 points. Mahomes with 13.44. Shaheed ended up with 18.60, as opposed to McLaurin's 13.4. He certainly beat you in the wide receiver 2 category, as Kirk scored 12.8 to Sutton's 5.2 and A-Chain. Ouch. This Miami team is just a disaster area. 2.7 to Kenneth Walker's 14.6. 14 for Connor, but Jacobs got 16.4. And then Ferguson with 13 to Komet's 8.7. Akers with 17, or excuse me, with 12.7 in the flex to Wicks's 4. That pretty much made a big difference. The kickers largely even. I mean, so you got about 2 more points than Butker. And the Seattle defense got 10, whereas the Miami defense got only 6. So.
Yeah, so the big thing was the Akers pickup that I picked up on Sunday morning. I forgot about that. So I heard that Damian Pierce and Mixon, they were not playing. So I was like, let's start Akers. And the Ravens were running all over the Bills. I thought, there would be Akers would have some success there. So that was actually a really good pickup because I think I got 7 extra points out of that, plus the picking the right quarterback. Those two, kind of differences is what made the game and put the game in my favor. I think it was like a 10-point gap or 11-point gap. Right?
The 13.9, well, 13 points basically, 13 and a half points. Yeah.
So
13.4.
If I started Moss and Stroud, did I won still?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
over A-Chain, yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, are you saying if you started Moss over Akers?
Yeah, Moss instead of Akers.
I mean, so you subtract 5 points plus another 2, so that's 7. Yeah, you still would have been. You still would have won. It would have been much closer, but yeah.
I got really, really lucky that he didn't start Higgins. This was a game of bench players.
29 for Higgins, yeah, 29.30 for Higgins, and also 18.30 for Sermon.
You thank the Whalers for Whalers Shafto trading Gronky Kong because he Shafto traded him with Connor and Kirk. Had he just played Higgins and Sermon, who he picked up, he would have blown you out of the water. So you can thank the Whalers for that one.
Yeah, so I got really lucky there. But, I would have blown him out of the water if I started Mooney. So
I don't know about that. I think it would have been closer than you think.
Well, I mean, if you put him instead of Sutton, if you would have put Mooney in there for 31.5 points, yeah, I mean, he would have blown him out of the water. I mean, yeah. Trust me, as somebody who made a bunch of blunders, not even bench blunders, just blunders, I know how much of a difference.
I feel like football, even the last couple of years, I feel like luck has very much been on my side. I don't know. Gronky Kong calls me the luckiest fantasy player of all time. I don't know about that, but I do have to say, luck tends to go my way. It seems like I don't know if I really deserve to win this game, but.
So, do you take that as a slight when he calls you the luckiest player of all time? Is he inferring that you're a little bit lower on the skill level? and it's all due to luck?
The thing is, I can't really deny it because, like, the injury bug hasn't really affected me as much as some other players in the league, I feel. And you know, I don't know if you look at the standings, but I feel like the 4 wins that I have are, against teams that haven't really put up that many points. Like, I'm the worst of the 4-1 teams, so
So you feel like you're the spider, the Madam Web of this year?
yeah, I guess you could say that, but the spider better be like doing some serious work because the injury bug has approached Pakistan.
Has it? No, I see some cues with Shahid and A Chain.
So you just played a bunch of losers like me and Gronky Kong so far. That's why you're 4-1.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the schedule was hard initially. It ended up being easy. So, I mean, what are your guys' takeaways from this win?
Well,
I mean, so here's the difficulty. I really did not pay much attention this weekend. I was frustrated early, so I'm coming at this anew as we look at this now. I'm a terrible analyst for this week. I know there was the text about Shahid, so I'm assuming he did something well on Monday night.
Yeah, that basically sealed the game when he had that like 60-yard bomb in the second quarter.
Okay.
Because that alone gave me like 13 points or something. So.
Yeah, that's the difference. You're the Shahid touchdown bomb away from being 3-2.
Yeah, I mean that's really kind of what it seems like and it is boiled down to. I mean, because other than this, I mean, there's definitely some holes in that wide receiver 2, running back 1 area. I mean, look, Gronky Kong was relatively consistent, in the, I mean, lowly consistent, but I mean, Mahomes is disappointing. McLaurin didn't perform this week as he did in previous weeks. I mean, but they're fine. Like all these numbers are fine. Walker and Connor have fine numbers. It's just flex below were not very, or excuse me, tight end. And although frankly, for a tight end this year, 8.7 is not bad. Yeah, I don't know. It's just an average performance out of him. Like, so he got like consistent low numbers and then didn't even get that at the lower end. So I mean, it's a tough performance there. And same thing, although I find that the numbers are pretty low across the board these last, I don't know if it was last week, but definitely 2 of the last 3 weeks at least they've been pretty low.
Yeah, I mean, I've had 1 week where I scored, over 130. I think that was like week 1 or something. But other than that,
yeah, week 1, week 1 things were off the charts. But I mean, like since then, it doesn't seem to be going up. I don't know, but win's a win.
Win's a win. I'll take it. I mean, 4-1 gives me a little breathing room. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the next game. Where shall we go for this?
All right. So for the next game, let's go to the Hagglers, who were laughing last week, if you recall, on the podcast about.
Yeah. What did we say? We said something like this was the lock of the year, or this would like if you lost, this would be embarrassing. I wish I could.
Well, we lost, obviously, and it was beyond embarrassing. However, like I was talking to you before the podcast began. I mean, Kirk Cousins was projected to get 17.5, and he blew it up with 42 points, 509 yards passing, and 4 touchdowns. Good on clever name pending.
This is one of those few rare situations where the Thursday night game, like a good performance on Thursday night, carried somebody.
It's usually a curse. It's usually a curse, and I felt good actually after Cousins got all those points. Because I mean, that just means you're doomed on Sunday for most
Yeah,
teams.
I mean, in fact, this is one of the only times that I can recall somebody having a fantastic Thursday night and sustaining it all the way through.
Yes, yes. I mean, you add up the numbers, like the difference between what Kirk Cousins was projected and what he got is that's the victory right there.
Oh, more than the victory. All right, so
yeah.
Yeah, so the score was 138.32 to 114.48 in favor of Clever Name Pending. So yeah, 42.36 from Kirk Cousins. Prescott got 20.38, which is fine, but nothing compared to that. Ayuk ended up with 22.7 to Marvin Harrison. Is it Marvin Harrison Jr.'s 5.6? The vaunted trade that you made there. Stefan Diggs, yeah, that's the one that should have been vetoed. I'm kidding. I don't care. That's Stefan Diggs with 14.2 in his revenge game as he gets revenge against you. 9.16 from Mitchell on the other side. Kareem Hunt with 18.7 to Derrick Henry's 16.6, so relatively even there. Tracy Jr., I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know. What is this guy's name even? I mean, like, good for Clever Name Pending for fine. Tyrone Tracy Jr. with 14 points. I'm sure all the Giants fans are screaming that they knew exactly who he was, but whatever. And then Gibson only gets 6.6. Cade Otton, who you picked up and threw in the trash can since then, had 7.4 to Fryermuth's 9.2, 15.9 from Downs to Tank Dell's 7.3, 9.7 from the kicker, 3 from Tucker, and then 16 for the Denver defense and 4 for the Buffalo defense. So, yeah, you can go into, and then
I was already talking to you like before the podcast about this. So I was listening to the announcers. It's like it's good to see Ayuk back in the offense. I mean, it just week after week, it doesn't matter who I'm playing. Their guy has the breakout performance of the year. It happened with Dr. Hockey back in week 2 with James Cook, like rushing for like 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. He hasn't touched those numbers since. Whenever you're playing me, is when your man has the breakout performance of the year, a la Kirk Cousins. So it's just really, I don't know what to make of the Hagler season. It just seems like whoever our opponent has their best performance of the year every time. Every time. It never fails. So I mean, good on Bowtie with. I mean, Dick Tracy. I was laughing. That's what we were laughing about. Like I didn't recognize any of these names. I thought it was going to be a runaway laugher, but all the people that I laughed at put up major points.
Yeah.
And the surprise of the week was Kareem Hunt actually out Derrick Henry.
3-4 points.
I wasn't expecting, but it didn't even matter. It just made it respect.
Yeah.
Are you saying something?
He was saying who would have expected Kirk Cousins to have the 42 points.
Yeah, I mean, again, your quarterback's going to blow it up like that. That's going to be very helpful. I was very confident in the Denver Broncos defense, and they delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Joshua Downs was good, but I mean, Joe Flacco. I mean, I almost have to pick him up for good luck. I have to find a spot for Joe Flacco as long as he plays. It's like he's such a deep tie to the Hagglers.
You know how we all feel about storylines and how those kinds of omens are very good for teams.
I feel like the fantasy gods are kind of nudging me a little bit, like, hello, pick up.
They love a good story. They want, like, you have to figure out the plot, and I feel like that's the road to success in fantasy. Like there's all this talk that we always have about, the fantasy gods frown upon that or this or that, and I think sometimes it gets overblown. I think especially with you, Commissioner, you're always like, if I don't like something, then the fantasy gods frown upon it. But one of the things that I have noticed is that they seem to like a good ironic plot twist. Like it's a good story. They're looking for a good story. They're looking to be entertained, is what I could say.
They want to entertain. So the fantasy gods right up their alley.
Yeah.
What if I dropped the number 2 quarterback in fantasy points last year, Dak Prescott, for lowly Joe Flacco and won my second championship?
Yeah,
That's the kind of intrigue that the fantasy gods love to kind of spin doctor.
Yeah.
But you'd be insane to do that, right? Like, who would do that? They need an insane coach to make an insane move, and there you get rewarded.
Yeah.
But it's like Joe Flacco's back, and he put up probably decent numbers. I mean, he didn't throw to my guy he still got 15.9, which was great, but like that's the kind
I don't know if you I don't know if you drop Dak Prescott. I think there's other people that possibly you could drop, including ones that have already been dropped. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you don't play him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One that's laughing on that Montgomery Tyreek Hill trade as of now. Like, I think that Montgomery in the first week, I mean, he didn't even play last week, but like in that first week, he's outscored Hill in both games, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think he outscored him in the second game, being that he didn't.
It was close. I think
it was close, and the guy didn't even play.
Right.
Which just shows you. They're just an absolute dumpster fire.
Are you worried about Marvin?
No, not really. I think he'll be there down the stretch. I think that was a very tough matchup versus the 49ers did a great job taking him away. And I think Kyler Murray, he thinks he's Lamar. So hopefully the coaches will just, smack him in the helmet or something and be like, you have to throw it to somebody. So it's fine.
This is the most I have to say this is the least emo I've ever seen you after a game. Like, you seem to be accepting the results more this time than most other weeks.
Well, I'm kind of growing as a coach. Trust me, to get to this point is a lot of bipolar hair pulling deep into the night between Tuesday and Saturday. But once the games start on Sunday, I haven't even gone into Gibson, by the way, who I was completely lied to. I'm never trusting Adam Schefter again, or the other guy that reports, because he reported in gigantic bold headlines, Ramondre Stevenson benched because he had fumbled 4 times in the last 4 games. So I was like, you know what? I got myself an RB1 in New England for whatever that means, and Gibson didn't play at all. Stevenson had a 33-yard touchdown run in the first quarter, and then he played throughout the game. They kept throwing it to him. I thought they switched jerseys. I'm like, is Gibson wearing number 38? Why is this fool in the game? It was just a blatant lie. Not like it would have had anything to do in the final score because I got blown out, but it's just it just really steams me up. So when Rappaport and Schefter say something, you guys better take another look at some other reporter to verify.
Ironically, Mostert, I mean, not that it would have made the difference, but Mostert actually outscored.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't have played Gibson. Guess who I had on my team before Gibson? Cam Akers. Who made me. And I threw him in the garbage because I was like, you know what? Gibson's going to have a big game. Look, he's the starter. But it's a lie. So all you fantasy fans out there, triple check. What's that?
He said he wasn't going to play Cam. Yeah, he was surprised that Cam Akers was just sitting there.
Well, that he's sitting there because I dropped him at the last second for Gibson.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you look at the transaction reports in the second half of this podcast, I was way on Cam Akers. I knew all about it before you even woke up. But then I saw the Gibson opening, and I threw him in the garbage for Gibson, thinking I have the RB1 in New England for the week, only to be shocked and appalled when Gibson played like 3 snaps. Is that what it means to be in the doghouse in New England? You score 20 points and get all the snaps? I'd love to be in New England's doghouse.
Your cat could be in their doghouse.
I could be in the doghouse.
Totally confident that, like, you just feel you can play this one.
Yeah, it's tough. I just don't. I mean, especially and that entire game, like I didn't even watch it. Like I said, but like,
well, anybody who watched New England and Miami, it was the worst game of the season.
I definitely saw some memes about that game, so I know, like,
both teams were horrendous.
Yeah, which does not surprise me. Yeah, but good win for Clever Name Penny. He ends up. I
apologize for trash talking him. He showed up.
Yeah, clearly, and not with a bad. He has a pretty good record. I mean, well, nobody has a good record, but I mean, considering 2-3, I mean, we'll go over the records a little bit later. But yeah, I didn't even know he had one. I mean, he got his one last week, right? So really, in this 2 weeks, he's starting to turn things around. All right, let's move on to the next game. We can do this. I mean, I said there were low scores. This one was not a low score. Lightning rods versus Southern Florida prime time. So this one was projected at 112.98 to 109, with hockey favored. It ends up going 174.98 to 156.46 in favor of the Lightning rods. I mean, woo! I mean, hockey would have won, I think, against anybody else in this league. I'm pretty sure had he. I mean, he just caught. Yeah, I mean, 156. Yeah, he just caught a bad break in this. Playing the one player that would have beaten him. So Burrow gets 43.78 points to Darnold's 4.6. Then Jeff, I mean, so we did talk about this though, that they each had each other's receivers and quarterbacks in last week. So Burrow had 43.78, Darnold had 4.26. Darnold was throwing to Lightning Rod's receiver, who Justin Jefferson had 15.2, but Burrow was throwing to Chase, who had 41.3. I mean,
had both of those guys,
and hockey decided to stick with him, so good for him for sticking with him. Then Drake London on that Thursday night game ended up having 33.4 points from that Cousins total. Worthy with 11.8, so respectable, but you know. Aaron Jones 6.3, and did he go down with an injury in that game? Or that game I mean I actually that's one game that I did watch this week, and then I just went to sleep. What an awful. I mean, like yeah. It was an atrocious game, that London game. So I did actually watch that game. And yeah, nobody was doing anything in that game except for the defenses, which don't even. I'll address that later. 17.9 for Cook, 17.5 for Hubbard, another good pickup for hockey. Out of my trash can, 13.8 for Robinson. Hubbard has really turned it on, by the way, since Dalton has come back. Another one of the Hagler's quarterbacks.
Yep.
Former quarterbacks, his first ever quarterback. Yep. Isaiah Likely. So all the talk that the tight ends in Baltimore don't get anything, well, that meme can take a rest for a week at least, as he gets 16.3, 20.4 from Kittle, 29.10 for Wilson over in that London game, and 9.7 for Harris, 17 for Fairbairn, 11 and 16 respectively for the defenses. Yeah, I mean, this was fuel. I mean, so first of all, a lot of this was fueled by that Cincinnati Baltimore game. And then, you know, Wilson had a really good total there for the Lightning Rods. You know, moving to 3-2. I mean, this is an impressive win there, and especially to win it when hockey. This, ironically, the one game that he loses is probably one of his best games all season. Like prior to this, he's had pretty poor performance and squeaked them out. This one, he has a great performance and loses. So, you know,
I think Lightning Rods kept both teams in it. He gave hockey the 41 points that made it even respectable.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, so I mean, you're talking at 20, like 20-ish, a little less than 20-point margin of victory, but I mean, yeah, couple games. I mean, and this is another one that the Thursday night game did help. The 33 from Drake London. I mean, nobody was expecting that. And I mean, in fact, if anything, we were expecting, you know, a bigger performance from Jefferson that would have boosted Darnold. But even with that, like Darnold only gets 4.26 in that game, which.
Ooh, but you know what? So had he played Geno Smith, he would have won. Because Geno Smith on the bench got 24, so you subtract 4, he would have beat him by 2 points.
Wow.
Ironically enough.
Wow.
Ironically enough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can't even say about that. I mean, it's a valiant performance. 156 and you lose, you got to be pissed about that.
Or, you know, and then he had Brown, the running back for Cincinnati, that could have helped too, instead of in the flex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why are you playing Najee Harris anymore? That guy's toast.
I don't know. Has he done anything?
He literally hasn't done jack shit all. I
mean, barely. Like even in the.
Yeah, cut your ties with Najee Harris.
Yeah, yeah. Although he leads the team, I don't even know what's going on with rush for 16 or 14 times for 42 yards. Harris handled the bulk of the backfield work for a Steelers team playing without Warren and Cordell Patterson. That's with the bulk of the background. He couldn't even get to oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, and Chase Brown is so up and coming. I mean, like last week he got 22. This week he gets 16. It's time for a hockey to make a move.
Yeah, though I mean it's hard. I mean, but here's the thing. I mean, here's the ironic thing. It's very hard to criticize him on this loss when he did so.
No, but if there's any like remote chink in this armor, which his team is very good, that's the one piece I think that's a little rusty.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean his team. Well,
This was definitely the game of the week.
no, it was not. I will tell you what the game of the week is after this, but this was the high scoring game of the week.
Yeah, the performance of the week.
Yeah,
Davies is starting because he had to give up Minnesota, and hockey's not letting him go. He'd rather.
No, I am. Like I said, I'll address that later. But yes, I am angry about that. But, that has nothing to do with why. I mean, well, is there anything else that we need on this game?
No, it's just a great. I mean, not even. It was just a fantastic performance by the Lightning Rods. Second highest scoring of the season, I think.
Yeah, I believe so as well. And like probably the third highest. I don't know for sure, but like by hockey. So yeah, I mean, it was a great game between these two, but it was slightly eclipsed by this game as the Tillett Trey team ends up defeating the Zamunda Lions 113.94 to 113.10.
Ooh.
So, you have now. The original projection was 101.27 to 107.60. So Zamunda was the favorite. This is an upset, though I have to say, he thinks that anything that the Zamunda Lions at this point is an upset. But anyway, but the really interesting part of this game is that Kimmel, who had he just decided to not play a player on Monday night. He just went with an RB2 blank, essentially, although I guess Spears was in there with a bye, because he had that lead going into I mean, we talk about this sometimes, and this is why I say, like, it matters what your opponent is rather than, an aggregate score, because he knew he had secured the win, and then he didn't want to risk any fumbles or anything else like that. So he went and secured the win, as minuscule as it is. But, for a team that was sliding, this is a hugely important win, especially when he's playing against Zamunda. But we can go into the score. So Josh Allen gets 16.64 to Murray's 26.1. CeeDee Lamb gets 11.4 to Collins is 15.8, only 2.3 from Jawan Jennings, who had that amazing week, and now he's come back down to earth. Mike Evans with 23.20 points. Kyron Williams with 15.5 to Rashid White's 9.6. Dowdle gets 19.4 to, as we said, the Taji Spears, who was on a bye. Schultz with 7.4 to Kincaid's 5.4. 16 for Wan'Dale Robinson to 27.5 for Moore. 5 and 6 for the kicker, and 10 and 9 for the defenses. But yeah, he did. So Kimmel did have, for an RB2. I mean, he had Pirine. He could have gone with. Yeah, that's it. Pirine. He could have picked somebody else up and dropped him. But because both of his running backs were on a bye, so he did spot him a player. But like, good on him. Like, he knew he had it. Why bother risking anything?
A Kim who remember, like, the very first season in Madden, he would practice kicking into an 80-mile-an-hour wind.
Yeah. Yes.
We'd set the wind settings 100 miles an hour because he could kick in 80. This is just a typical Kimmel move. Very, very smart as a coach. Very savvy. He's got the win. Why even risk it? Just play somebody who's on a bye. It's brilliant.
Yeah, no, because he could have played Pirine, who only got 3 point whatever points, but like, had he fumbled or something,
fumbled for negative.
Yeah, like, it's the smart move. I mean, here's the thing about Kimmel. He always makes moves. Like, you could always count on him to make a good coaching move in all of these sports.
Yep.
He knows the games, and he's very good at making those moves, making those adjustments, knowing even in video games, knowing the ins and outs of the video game. So I mean, this is just very much in line with what he does, and it's a very it's just a smart move. Take the win, don't risk it. I mean, how much you need? And here's the thing, especially so since P Ryan, he's already somewhat on the schneid. So like let's imagine that he fumbles right at the beginning of the game. He could fumble and they could never let him back in, like putting Kareem Hunt or something. So there is a legit risk that could have happened. So
And look at the margin. I mean, it's so tight. It's less than a point.
yeah, less than a point. I mean, we were talking about 0.84 of a difference. So you
Any negative yards would have,
yeah.
right?
I mean,
Like a negative yard with an injury or something like that, and he's screwed.
yeah. So really smart decision. I mean, these are the kinds of situations that we talk about a lot of the times, and
And
rarely.
then on the flip side for Nick, I mean, you talk about coaches' boiling points like this. How much can you take? That's like 0.8. Like just to get a win in this league is so tough every week, and to lose by 0.8,
Yeah.
he must be like, come on.
More like, well, Seymour must be really open for business now.
Does this open up the doors for Z-Mart for the trades?
I mean, but who do you want out of that team? I mean, like that's the thing. Who do you want? Williams, I guess.
Recently closed. Out of business.
I mean, we'll see next week. I mean, I mean, you want to talk about an interesting matchup there, but yeah, no, it's
How much long? He's like officially eliminated playoff.
I mean, officially eliminated. That's probably still got a little while to go. But what is our unofficial target? It's at 8 losses generally. Like eight losses tends to be our.
Is with the new, with the extra game that we added.
Yeah, because it used to be 7. I think now 8 is the unofficial. Like
Yeah, because you'll be 6-8.
yeah, and I mean 6 and 8. I mean, I'm not. So it's not official, but that's the guideline marker that we look at. Like because it's 7 and 7, you could make it. I mean, like it's tough if you have the points and whatever. Like, but you could make it at 7 and 7. At 6 and 8. Well, I know, but I'm saying there's at least a chance at 7 and 7. 6 and 8 really starts to become unofficially. So if you get to 0 and 8, it's like that's really where it's starting to look bad. So he's got 3 more weeks worth of
I mean, his biggest game by far comes up, this next week.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that later, but yes. So yeah, but it's really tough loss and really smart coaching by Tillett. So, and especially as he was starting to slip a little bit over the last few weeks to just secure the win. I mean,
he
that's
stole a win, but this is as close as you get to defensive football.
Yeah, no. I mean, this is really good coaching. This is the kind of good fantasy coaching that I enjoy seeing. Actually, this is like in fantasy football. The strategy here is great.
Very smart at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's opposite of what we saw in the actual game from a lot of coaches. Like the Bills coach at the end of the game with that clock management, with the coach that got fired, Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
So maybe these actual NFL coaches should take some notes.
So what happened with Nico Collins here? He's now on injured reserve. That's gonna hurt. Hamstring. It's a hamstring. So that's gonna be tough. All the more reason that you got to secure that win when you can get it. And I mean, so many teams have been devastated by injuries, but yeah. So and that's a tough loss. Trust me, as somebody who lost a really good wide receiver, that could be very tough. All right, moving on to Nick's next week opponent. So Nick and Jamie ends up defeating the Whalers 142.02 to 102.26 as the champ.
Out of all of these stats, I don't understand Chris Olave. Like he really lights it up, and then he really does stinkers, and you can't really tell when it's going to happen.
Yeah, no, and of course he got a. Didn't I play Olave? I feel like I did. Did I play Whalers already? I did, right? Yeah, and Olave scored and almost made it a game. But not in this one. So yes. Daniels gets 20.1.72. Made fun of him. We're not making fun of him anymore, but still not the huge score, but still very respectable. 15.06 for Purdy. Reed gets 13.7. Yeah, and as you said, only 3 for Olave. 23.2 from Thomas, to 14.7 for Pittman. Mason, the Mason McCaffrey's replacement now down to 8.8 outs. That situation.
So that's why he tried to do his quote unquote deal with it. He knew he could see the writing on the wall.
Of course, so 89 rush yards, 1 fumble lost, 1 reception. I mean, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. That situation yeah. I mean, we've talked ad nauseum about the whole situation with drafting McCaffrey, and then in addition to all the other stuff surrounding him with his double Achilles and everything else, 16.1 from Williams, not the Williams coach, from Williams, the running back in Denver. Bigsby gets 25.90 points.
And Bigsby was just sitting out there in free agency for the longest time. You never know when this guy's going to blow up. He was the league's bitch, right? We were joking about it. It seemed like all of our jokes last week have become serious backfires.
I mean, there's two of these Bigsbys, right? You never know which I never know which Bigsby is, because they're right. There's 2 Tank Bigsbys, right? Isn't there one on Houston?
Oh, that's Tank.
No, Tank Dell. There's 2 tanks.
Oh, there's 2 tanks. That's what it is.
Not big. There's 2 tanks.
There's 2 tanks.
Right. You're right. You're right about there's 2, but there's 2 tanks. Not the it's the first name.
All right. So that's what I get confused.
Wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. There's 2 tanks.
Right. Okay. So I got my Bigsby and my Dells confused, but there's 2 tanks.
There. Anybody could have themselves 25.9 points this week, and what a difference it would have made in their individual scores as you look through all of the weeks.
Oh yeah.
Nick and Jamie pick them up, they win.
Yeah. And I mean, that's not the difference maker here, but yeah. 20 points.
When he dropped him, Gronky Kong plays him, he wins.
Yeah. 20 points for Swift, 15.8 for Pitts, who finally shows up, and then 16 for Kelsey, who also had been absent for a while.
So it's interesting, the Gronky Kong versus Manny matchup. Had Gronky Kong not dropped Pitts and kept Bigsby, he blows out Friedman.
Yeah.
But instead, he picks him up in the garbage can and trades him to Whalers, who benefits, well, for the most part, as far as tight ends go. He lost the game, but 15 for a tight end, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised if Whalers packages them up in a junk bond trade this week with some other goals he picks up and tries to sell.
I can't even imagine what's happening over there at Whalers headquarters at this point. I mean, it's got to be maddening. But hilarious. I would watch it as a reality show just to see.
He's 0-6 too, right?
He's 0-5. Well, he's 0-5. Don't get ahead of ourselves yet.
Yeah, don't get ahead of ourselves. You don't want to give him any bulletin board material.
Yeah, exactly.
You're 0-5. Let's not get him fired up.
Although, I mean, the bulletin board, at this point, yeah. So he left Flowers on the bench, and so plays Olave instead of Flowers. So that's 19 points there. But other than that, not really. I mean, Cooper got 10, but man, I mean, not really many bench blunders. I mean, this goes back to the old Michael Keaton Batman. With the Joker, you see what I have to work with here. I mean, Ford with only 7.9. Yeah, it's just tough. I mean, this entire season will be defined by Christian McCaffrey and that pick. I mean,
so I think he was counting on Ford to be the McCaffrey, not Ford, Mason. The Mason, the backup. It just hasn't been there, which is why he was so adamant to try and deal him off to you, which you didn't go for it.
But you did mention Ford. I also do think that Ford was a good pickup, and he's just not panned out. I mean, Cleveland is just so I that's one of the other stories that I keep reading about is like all the stuff in Cleveland, how they want to trade him to Carolina in exchange for just take him off our cap hit. Like literally, like here, just please take this away. I saw another thing about like just trying to fund him to like they're desperate to get rid of Deshaun Watson. It's so hilarious. But it's like, I mean, it's such a Cleveland Brown story, but like, I you know, um,
Yeah, but
that
so let me backtrack on what I just said. So Mason, if you look at his little chart there, he's actually put up like really good numbers: 22, 17, 10, and 24. So the 8 is like, that's because of the fumble and whatever. But I think that what he would have got for the trade would have really helped out his team.
Well, I
So
don't know. I mean, he was looking for. I don't know if he would have because he was looking for.
He's looking for Bijan and Algiers from
Yeah,
you.
yeah, not too great either. I got news for you. Not too great.
So I
He would have
mean,
gotten an extra 2 points.
but at least both players can play.
Can they? I don't know if they actually know how to play. I mean, yes, physically they can play.
Right.
Whether or not they know how. I mean, like Kirk Cousins throws for 42 or whatever. Like 500 yards. Like it's like that meme that I sent. Like I showed up with the Power Rangers or whatever it was. Like I showed up, and then you didn't do. Like, no.
I was surprised at the Bigsby versus Swift matchup. Both running backs outdid the starters.
Yes, very much so. Are the Falcons who knows? The Falcons are so bipolar. I mean, yeah, I mean, like one game they're just then they'll play like Philadelphia, but then then you have another game where they're just terrible, and they have this. I have no clue what is going on with the Falcons. Frankly, I mean, like if it wasn't just Mason and and McCaffrey with all of that, I look, I built my team around these two running backs, and they are not making me happy. No, I'm not too happy, Larry. But yeah, but I mean, I'm not going to take it from Mason. Come on.
Yeah, but so that just shows, like you said, that I'm an insane coach, and we have completely different coaching approaches. I wasn't too happy with Tyreek Hill. He's out of here. You're not too happy with your running backs, but they're still both on your team. So we have two different approaches.
We do.
And I don't know if one's better than the other, because I expect Montgomery to have a very solid season. It's just your patience level with underperformance is way above mine.
Very much so.
Like mine will go in the dumpster next week. You will have a bad week and it'll still be on there. Both of them. You don't even get rid of the backup.
Yeah, obviously, because I mean, well, yeah. No, I'm not.
But you realize if both are underperforming, the backup is taking up a spot that can pick up another player to help you win.
Hagler's approach with coaching, like 1 or 2 bad weeks, you're out.
Oh, absolutely. There's something in the water there in Hackettstown. I mean, look, there are people on my team that get dropped immediately. I'm not opposed to dropping players immediately, but players that I've invested a decent amount into and that I think in the long run will be good, I do hold on to them. Yes. But yeah, there's plenty of people that I threw in the garbage can. Frankly, I would throw Leggett in the garbage can right now, but I don't have any other I'm just waiting for another option.
Well, look, case in point, Kendrick Bourne, who got 1.6, even
dropped. What?
You threw in the garbage. You threw him away.
I threw him away. No, I mean, although he was thrown away because he was going to be forced to take up a roster spot, and I'm not taking no. Anyway, all right. Well, that's it on this game. We can move to the last game to the gentleman's game. I cannot.
This guy, such a gentleman. Good on you, Eugene, and your courtesy and courteous behavior is just a model for the league. I mean, Harbekin has to laugh, but his behavior has been almost suspiciously courteous.
I mean, do you just believe anything that a politician tells you? I mean, come on, this man.
You can't. Eugene has been a model. You ever see the movie Law Abiding Citizen with Gerard Butler? That has been Eugene.
I have not. And I don't ever think of Eugene as Gerard Butler. Um,
He has been a model. He has been an icon for the league, a gracious winner. We've never seen that from him before. Maybe he's turned the corner. I don't know. You're very skeptical, obviously. I can only go by what I've seen. This guy has been a gracious winner.
I mean, the last time I joined this podcast, he was calling himself a genius. I don't know how model citizen that is.
Yeah, but when he wins, he compliments the entire league.
Do you believe any of it? You believe?
I don't know if I believe it. I can only believe what is presented.
What?
I can only believe what is presented. He has been a model league member.
You can only believe what is presented?
Yeah.
Great. I have multiple bridges to sell you all along the East River.
The guy's 5-0. The level of trash talking is well below Eugene standards, even by Rodovich. Come on.
I am look.
Gods don't necessarily, only reward kindness and good behavior.
Once
they
again,
like a little bit of like flavor and a little trash talking. Like fantasy gods are not, they don't view being nice as like an end all be all.
Once again, the religion, the Friedmanist church coming.
Yeah, Friedman talking about what the fantasy gods want. You have to take that with a slant.
Yes. Look, I don't know what the look. I'm enjoying the comedy of him being Mr. Model, citizen, playing the part of Gerard Butler. I don't believe it for a second. Let's see when he breaks. That's what I want to see. I want to see when the character cracks.
When he does his antics, but when he actually doesn't do the antics, you gotta give him his props. He hasn't been his usual Eugene self. You have to admit that.
I admit that fully. I just don't think that I don't believe it for a moment.
The man is 5-0 and has barely uttered a slander.
Yeah, it's very easy to be the model citizen when you're 5-0.
I don't know. We've criticized Eugene for how many seasons on. Sometimes he starts 0-5 and we pile it on. Now he's 5-0 and I don't know if he wins by hook or by crook.
No. Look, I have nothing but credit to give him for his coaching.
Yes,
I think that he's done a masterful job of coaching this season. There's no criticism there, but the character aspect of it, I don't know if I.
Look, I am not writing a 500-word essay to Eugene. Let me put this on the podcast when he listens to it. I am not writing any apologies. He hasn't given us reason to trash talk him at all.
No, which is all the more reason. Look, I guess 500 page essays are out the window now because he no longer requires them. So I'm just going to trash talk all of that as much as I can. Let's see how much he can hold to character. All right, but let's get into this game actually, so we can analyze some of his coaching. So the original projection was 117.69 to 106.77. Now, as far as his well, I don't know. I lost my train of thought there. So let's go into 41.42 points for Lamar Jackson, 29.4 for Baker Mayfield. So here's the thing. So this was one of those games where I had everybody going on Thursday night, and I actually had a decent performance on Thursday night out of most of them. Mayfield got 29, 11 for Godwin, which was fine. 16 for McLaughlin, which is one of the better performances from my kicker all season long. And then, Bijan only got 10.7. And then you add the Sunday London game, which is when I just got disgusted. And first of all, I'd stayed up all night, watched that stupid game, And then I tried to make it through I was just done. I was just done. I knew it was over, and I just slept until like 8 p.m. that night. So I didn't really, that's why I didn't really watch anything else. And then so Brees Hall only gets 6 points. It was just so horrid to watch. I mean, it's like so frustrating to watch that Jets game just as a Jets fan. And then on top of that, to see Hall continue to just not do well. And then on top of that, to know that I had the Minnesota defense and I dropped them this week because they were going on a bye next week. And Indianapolis has a cake schedule for 3 weeks in a row. But the first layer of the cake was shit, as it is 1 point from Indianapolis against Jacksonville. 1 point? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I dropped them.
But look who is at the helm of that 1 point performance. Joe Flacco.
Sure, but he's not the quarterback of the defense. It's 1 point from India. Just frustrating. So frustrating, especially since you add the 16 points from Minnesota. If I would have gotten, so you add 15 points, so that puts it up to 105.2. And then, if Brees Hall does anything, or if I just would have, I mean, look, I was never going to play Roshan Johnson, but if I would have went with the jumbo package and went with McBride, I could have won. So frustrating. So this game was so frustrating. I mean, you want to talk about good coaching decisions versus bad coaching decisions. I do remember what I was going to say. I got my train of thought back from earlier, but yes, I made some bad coaching decisions. But on to what I was going to say before. With all of the cues that he had a lot of cues going into the game, just like you mentioned before, as he's going into your game. Yet he managed the team really well, even with all of those cues, excuse me. So Lamar Jackson gets 41.42 points. Metcalf only gets 7.5, 5.9 from Johnson. So he was missing neighbors. I mean, certainly he was struggling in the wide receiver position. Tyreek Hill did at least get double digits with 12.9, much better than Leggett, who only got 1.8 points, and will Leggett himself benched and thrown in the trash once I have an opportunity to, or a total need. Etienne with 12 points, 12.6 from Kamar, which was a really, so I mean, like, I kept looking at the game and I'm like, this was totally within our reach had we not been an idiot. Aubrey with only 7.82 for the Houston defense, which still outscored the Indianapolis defense. So yeah, bench blunders on my side. I mean, the only one I guess would be who is this? Caleb Williams for the Bears. 20. So both of us had Bears running backs, and both of them did well, and we both benched, And he had Ramondre Stevenson, who you talked about before. But yeah,
no,
Bowers gets
quarterback. That's a quarterback.
What's that?
You said Caleb Williams a running back. He's a quarterback, so that's quarterback points. That's not running back.
Sure. Well, we both had Bears. I don't care. Anyway, I'm so frustrated with this game. Bowers got 23.70 points. Kraft got 24.8. This is the only game that had tight ends that did really well. And Powers, by the way, played against the Denver defense. It still got that point total. So yeah. I don't know.
If Brees Hall was on your team, would he still be on the team? Like, if you drafted him, would he still be on your team, or you would have shipped him away?
Are you asking Geese?
Yeah.
It was muffled. What are you saying?
He asked you if you had drafted Brees Hall, would he still be on your team?
As an insane coach, probably not. 3.8 and 6.7, he'd be the dumpster or traded.
I think, well, first of all, especially with the coach being fired, I mean, you have to see how that's going to impact, things going forward. I mean, they could completely change the offense around now. Now that he's been fired. I mean, I understand, but I mean, all indications are that Aaron Rodgers got him fired, and maybe because he wants to do more. I mean, we'll see. I mean, we'll see how it impacts. I mean, look, it could. I don't think it could get him less points. Let's just put it that way.
I think the disappointment of the week, clearly for you, out of all of these matchups, it's not Judy. It was Leggett. That was the guy that you.
Judy was pretty bad too, though, because he's playing one. I had plus matchups. Here's the thing: I had plus matchups all around. I had, but they just nobody came to play. Even the players in the game where there was massive amounts of points, they still didn't do anything. The only one that came to play was Kraft and Baker. Baker always comes to play.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Indianapolis, surely you expected more out of than
29.4.
1 point for Indianapolis with a green matchup. That's disappointing.
Tremendously disappointing.
Leggett, like not get what happened. Like he 1.8 was very disappointing. Really had a lot. I mean, they played the Bengals last. Maybe the Bengals are very terrible. Chicago's defense, I think, is very underrated. They actually stopped more. I mean, I thought when I had them, they didn't do shit, but that's just my bad luck with anybody. But it looks like they're going to get you. Like they shut down people. They shut down the number 2 receiver, which Leggett clearly is, and Judy playing against Washington. Everybody moved the ball on Washington, right?
Yeah.
So we figured like he's a lock for at least 10 points. 2.6 had to be very disgusting.
Totally disgusting.
Ethan and I were talking about the Seattle defense versus the Chicago defense because like I was on the fence about who to start, and I thought Chicago's defense was underrated.
I mean, Whalers has them.
Whalers used them for 14, but you still got 10 points, so that 4-point difference is not devastating.
Yeah,
but the most disappointing thing to me is that hockey still has Minnesota because
that's got to stick it to her back end.
He gets it on.
Hockey's going to drop them because they have a bye this week.
Yeah, but he's holding on to both, and that's really, really starting to annoy.
Right, because he had a defense that was cruising for the rest of the season, and hockey basically spooked him because he's insane. He's going to run with 2 defenses, and clearly he's going to drop Philadelphia or whoever he picked up, and then that's it. He's just going to,
he's just going to keep my defense basically for the entire season, and right. I'm so angry about that situation. And it's my own fault. I should just held on to them and had it. And then, like, who cares? I would have just not drafted the game. I mean, but I also had injury. There's so much that's a mess right now.
Right.
But whatever. But yes, very good win for Eugene. He continued to do well and make the decisions that he had to. I'm seeing a lot of cues on his team. He's starting to get, hit by the injury bug, but even with him being hit by the injury bug, he's still 5-0. So nothing but credit to him on the field. And technically off the field credit to the character that he's playing currently.
Probably the surprise of the week is that Kraft outplayed Bowers. Very impressive on your part for one lone silver lining.
Yeah, I mean, Kraft was sure.
Yeah, it's something. I mean, you have to look at something positive.
There's another week coming up. That's what I have to look at positively. All right. Well, that does it for the first half of the show. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side of the break, we will discuss not really that much happening in transactions as far as I saw, but a lot happening in next week's games and a lot in the standings. So stay tuned. We'll be right back right after this. All right, welcome back to the show. So time for first before we get into anything else, a quick programming note. I don't think, unless you plan on doing it, the show is so we're gonna not be on next week. At least I'm not gonna be on, and you're not planning on doing the show, right?
No, hell no.
Exactly. So we will be off for next week, and we'll see about in 2 weeks because I am. Well, I mean, the schedule will be adjusted in 2 weeks because it's flying out to Jersey, so maybe we'll record it early or something. But I will be gone for next week, so no program next week. But that being said, we will continue with the show for this week, and we will start by taking a look at the transactions that happen here. So, anything of note? Let's see. Well, as far as the FAB,
were very quiet this week.
Yeah, I know. Like, so 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 Dr. Hockey won the Philadelphia defense bidding $0, outbidding Gronky Kong's $0 bid.
Mm-hmm.
That is the major.
That's as quiet as it gets.
Yeah, exactly. Because he had a lower waiver priority. I forgot. I don't even remember honestly what the waiver how I think it's based on who did the last transaction before that or something. I don't know, whatever.
Manny bidding against himself for Dontavian Wicks, as he were the only two people interested conveniently.
Yeah, so all right, let's so the non-contested bids, which there's so many non-contested bids this season. Taysom Hill gets picked up for $35 by Nick and Jamie. Okay. Then Tolbert gets picked up for 19 by the finest. Anything about him? I don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's the second receiver on the
No, because for the winning touchdown.
Okay. Green Bay picked up by the finest in favor, dropping Seattle. I'm assuming bye week or something.
I mean, the last time he picked up Green Bay, they scored 21 points.
They did. Also, but dropping Seattle, I mean, aren't you worried that Dr. Hockey is going to just pick them up and screw you and you'll never see them again? But then Hockey picks up, as we said, Philadelphia, Jake Elliott. God. My history with that guy gets picked up by Gronky Kong. Ty Chandler, picked up by the Hagglers.
Yeah, but he's off. He's not even playing. So that was nonsense.
Sure. Jake Moody dropped by so Gronky Kong picks up the Chargers. Jake Moody dropped by Tilla Trey because he's out. Komet re-picked up, whereas Keenan Allen is dropped, and then Taysom Hill, after spending $35 on him, is then dropped for the Washington defense. Okay. Money well spent there. Now getting into the standings. So, all right. Well, there's only one person atop the league. It remains undefeated, which is Dave's Secret Crush, the gentleman of the league, continuing to steamroll everybody else. 706 points. I mean, the next closest is, who has the next closest? 638 by Nick and Jamie.
Nick Jamie quietly coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So you have the 4-1 teams, which is Nick and Jamie, Dr. Hockey, the finest, and that is it. So that is your top 4. Then the Lightning Rods at 3-2, who after their last week's game, and the 1603ers clinging to that 3-2 spot. And the 6th position there. Tillet Trey, Clever Name Pending, and the Hagglers at the 2-3 mark, followed by Gronky Kong at 1-4. He's the only 1-4 team. And the Detroit Whalers and the Zamunda Lions down at the basement. Very interesting, as they will be playing each other this week, and we will certainly get that game. Anything on the standings before we move on to these games?
No, not really.
Okay, so where shall we start with these games?
Well, let's let Manny Friedman pick the first game. Let's put the final. Well, no, we can't. We can't.
No, you can't. They're not allowed.
Eligible man downfield.
Exactly.
Let's go with
We can go with the 1603s. Let's just go over my game. I'm actually curious to go over my game because I haven't really looked at this horrid team that I have. So the projection right now is 113.46 to 105.70 in favor of Nick and Jamie. All right. Yeah, my team is a dumpster. I don't even know what to say. So you got Daniels at Baltimore going against Baker at New Orleans. I think that's kind of a tough game for Baker. I mean, I think he'll do okay, but I still think it's a tough game. And then Godwin has a tough game. So we do have decent matchups this week, but I don't know. Whatever. So you got Godwin at New Orleans, also still continuing to look for twofers. Then you got Jordan Reed versus Arizona. And then you have Judy playing against Philadelphia, which should be a positive, game for him. But I mean, like, he couldn't even do anything against Washington. So how can I have any faith in him? we'll see if I can. I don't even know if I could replace. There's nobody. I mean, like the Rasheed Rice thing is just killing me. Thomas at Chicago, we did mention how they are a tough team, so maybe there's some hope there. And then, I mean, in theory, um, Brees Hall playing against Buffalo he should have a good performance. And Robin Bijan against Carolina should be a positive matchup, and they both should be good players, but I don't know. Um, Going against Gibbs and Barkley, so Barkley's playing Cleveland.
If they're running last week, both running backs were on a bye, and you get them when they're back. That's just bad time.
Of course, and Gibbs has been really good, and then Saquon, like it's just
Yep.
like I mean, great, and then you got my dumpster fire of fucking running backs sitting here. It's just awful. Kraft going against Komet, maybe there's
bright spot.
what? Yeah, the lone bright spot right there.
Kraft.
And we're going with the jumbo package with McBride at Green Bay, so both of those players playing in the same game. And then
he's going. Yeah, jumbo. I haven't seen you play jumbo in a while.
I know I haven't gotten jumbo and jumbo in the same game. I'm going with double jumbo. I'm going with the double patty right there. McLaughlin, and then so the Indianapolis defense. The reason why I picked him up was for this game against Tennessee, the worst team. This is the matchup that you want. And this is why I dropped Minnesota for this game, so they better perform here. San Francisco and Bass for Nick and Jamie's team. I think the running back. I mean, like unless my running backs decide to finally show up, I think we're in trouble here.
I could probably agree with you. When your lone bright spot is Kraft cheese, you're in trouble.
The Kraft single.
It's literally the same. Even though you're playing the jumbo, it could be a single. Because let me tell you something, Marvin Harrison Jr. with this Murray guy is not getting anything. I think it's more Murray than anything else.
I mean, McBride did all right last week, actually. McBride 11. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I think it's fine to be able to maybe be. I mean, what did Pickens do? I mean, he's playing against Vegas though, so Pickens he did. I mean, like he's had good games and bad games. He's hit and miss. So I don't know. Go ahead.
Especially now that Salah's gone, like
yeah, I mean,
I feel like they're going to get him more activated in the offense. I mean, I don't know.
I think that's the hope, and then the hope is that Bijan is due too.
More sure to do well now that Salah was fired, so everybody else is getting fired. But I'm not sure they're going to actually do well. I mean, Jerry Jeudy had a very favorable matchup last week to get 2.3 points. So I think Dave has to be a little bit nervous on the back end of that situation.
Certainly am. And I actually am more, I will say this. I'm more nervous about the Cleveland situation because of Deshaun and how dire and just going off the vibes of what's happening in Cleveland. People are not happy there. The Jets, people are concerned, but there was at least movement in that you got rid of Salah, so maybe there is, something there that change. I don't know. I feel more confident, I guess, that with that Brees can turn it around, especially with playing Buffalo is an important game. Maybe I don't know. Monday night.
I heard about Jaden Daniels playing against Lamar. There's so much hype going into this game. It's on all the headlines. I think he could really ball out because of the headlines.
Yeah.
And you could be looking at a Kirk Cousins situation where Dave loses at 1:00.
Yeah.
I'm definitely, if I was a coach, I would definitely be concerned about that because this kid has been phenomenal. Nick and Jamie was laughed at all the way since the beginning, really. Yeah. And this guy produced week after week after week. He's brought McLaurin back to life. Like the whole team has confidence. I mean, what are they, 4-1?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this team was a joke. And this guy's brought them actual credibility. This might be one of those people that just has, could be in contention for MVP by the end of the year.
Certainly of this league. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm definitely picking. I always pick my opponent, but I'm certainly
conquered from Brees Hall until Dave I know Dave's very patient, but he has his limits.
We'll see. They're hunkering down. Any thoughts as you drive, or just put
think it's a really close matchup, but I'm gonna lean you. I think your running backs are due for a big game.
That would be nice. I'm not leaning me, but yes, great. That would be great. I mean, that still doesn't address the wide receiver 2 problem, but or the wide receiver 1 problem, or the quarter. I mean, well, quarterback just should be fine.
Look, the problem with Atlanta is I think the first 2 weeks, as you look at 16 and 16 for Bijan, the team is finally starting to get an identity with Kirk Cousins, and it's him throwing the ball. Whether it be to Mooney or whether it be to Drake London, I think this team has converted from last year's running team with a looser quarterback to a quarterback that slings it down the field in Kirk Cousins. And for the second half of the season, I think Bijan's not quite pedestrian. They're a throwing team with Cousins. He's always been a throwing team. Despite the fact that with Dalvin Cook, he probably had his best season, he loves to wear the chains and the ice and throw for 509 yards. That's Kirk Cousins. Whether it's good for the team or not, I think the real jerk is, you know me with the history with jerk. He just throws it. Whether he throws for 509 or he throws for 100 with 10 interceptions, that's jerk.
Yeah.
And I think that's very dangerous for Bijan and the gang, for Dave Arbacka. That's something to definitely monitor, like in the next couple of weeks. If they start throwing it 60 times, you might want to start dealing away Bijan.
We'll see.
Yeah, that's a good point.
No, I mean, I don't disagree with that, but yeah.
As far as Brees, like, I mean, they can use him more in the passing game too. Like,
well, I mean, they're splitting. I mean, yeah, I know they certainly can. They've been splitting some touches with Allen, though they haven't been throwing him. I'm not even necessarily this week, but I'm cautiously optimistic long term that they will both be okay. But I just until I see it, I mean, I'm much more concerned with the wide receiver problem that we have right now.
As I would be too. Judy getting 2 points against Washington. Right. That's got to be cause for pause for Dave Arbacka.
Very much so. All right. So you're one favoring me, the rest having some.
Yeah, I have to favor Nick and Jamie.
Likewise. All right. Where do we go next?
I mean, we can go Hagler's Tiller Trey.
All right, this will be an interesting matchup. So yes, the Tiller Trey team is favored 106.39 to 97.74, 58% to 42% favorite over the Haglers. Now, this is without you having a kicker at the moment, so that certainly is impacting that, which will probably make it a much closer projection. So you got Dak going versus Detroit, Allen against the Jets on Monday night, which I know we all know that Tillett is a Jets fan. So, first of all, I don't think he'll be able to bench his Monday quarterback, otherwise, like he did last week. But it will be difficult for him to root against his team. You got Mike Evans, who's been coming on of late at New Orleans, and then you have Harrison at Green Bay. Diggs at New England, which, given the injury to Collins, that does bode well for you there. And then you have Moore versus Jacksonville for the running backs. Pollard versus Indiana, against the Colts. And Rashid White at New Orleans. And then you have Montgomery finally getting his first game as a Hagler, and Justice Hill versus Washington. And then,
that's second. He was off last week, but we got him the week before.
The first game that he's playing, right? He didn't play. He didn't play.
2 weeks ago, he played.
Oh, he did play? Oh, yeah, that's right. What am I saying? Yeah, of course. Never mind. And then Laporta playing. He barely played 2 weeks ago when he played. At Dallas, and then Kincaid at the Jets. You have Downs at Tennessee with a Q, and then Smith. I can't say the name. At Seattle.
You don't want to be racist.
I don't want to. I just don't think. just in case I slipped the tongue on being able to say it.
Jigga. Smith Jigga.
And you have Wright for the San Francisco kicker against your no kicker, and the New York defense versus the Denver defense. Yeah, so the projection here, I mean, there's a couple things happening in this game. I do think Diggs will have a very good game. I think Montgomery is going to do well. What's the deal with Hill? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, I don't know. I think that this is this is possible for both teams. This is actually a very close game. Rashad White has a foot issue, so he's listed as questionable, and he hasn't really been performing that well either. I don't know. Has Kincaid done anything really? I mean, not really. But neither is Laporta. What's going on with the why? So Ab Pittman or Josh Downs, excuse me, had a toe injury. He's played really well these last 2 weeks, but he is playing against Tennessee, so they are one of the better defenses against wide receivers. This guy's been pretty good the last few weeks, but he's going against San Francisco, so a lot of tough matchups here. I don't know. I really don't know how to call this one. Yeah. I don't know. This is a tough one to.
It's very murky right now. I would be much more comfortable in my projection if I could switch out Hill for Hunt. Unfortunately, the timing doesn't allow that because he's on a bye. I think the Hagglers moving forward, if you pair up Montgomery and Hunt, going forward, the running back combination certainly I think is going to make an impact. But right now, it's just hard to get we just can't get everybody on the field at the right time in the same place. I'm actually going to go with Tilla Trey on this one. I think Josh Allen on Monday night is the wild card. I mean, he could be he played against Baltimore and he was horrendous. Or he can just put up a 38 performance like he did against Jacksonville. And so you never know which Josh Allen you're going to get.
I think it's a bounce back spot for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had 2 bad games in a row, and that's when I always tend to kind of be weary of, perhaps, here he comes. He's going to have another good performance because he's probably really pissed at what happened the last 2 weeks. So.
Although the Jets, I mean, I'm curious how the Jets respond on Monday night in the Meadowlands without with the new coach.
Yeah, I don't really know. I think the Jets are. There's a lot of pressure on their defense. Let me tell you something, but it's really the Jets' offensive coordinator that's killing them.
Yeah,
I think Hackett. He's very vanilla.
Yeah.
What they're going to do, and Rodgers is not very mobile. So
yeah, I'm wondering how much control Rodgers is going to take in the game, himself. I'm very curious to see how that game.
Plus, the Jets beat the Bills in Week 1 when Rodgers was injured. That was one of their only highlights of the season. So they're definitely going to be, from a confidence standpoint, riding high.
I mean, but also you look at how they played on that Thursday night. I mean, granted, it was against New England, and New England is terrible. But I mean, there was a good atmosphere, in the Meadowlands for that. So I don't know. This is and frankly, as much as they've not played that well, though they did play well in the second half last week in London. They have played well at home when they can. I mean, they're also going to be exhausted flying back from London. I mean, I don't know. This is so.
I'm going to go with Tilla Trey. I think that Caleb Williams and DJ Moore are just hitting their stride. They had a great game last week, and they're playing the horrid Jacksonville defense. I think that's going to boom for Tilla for points. I think Indianapolis sucks against the run, so Pollard's going to have a big game. It depends on if White plays or not, but looking at his bench, he's got the situation with Mixon. If Mixon can actually play, that's going to put up some points, or he can just put in the backup, Tyjae Spears.
Yeah.
I think against Indianapolis, it doesn't matter.
I'd probably. What's that? Who does Detroit play? Oh, so they play Dallas.
Dallas. I'm going to go with Tilla on this one, but eventually the Hagglers will get the whole team together and will be better.
I mean, yeah, I mean, look, I mean, also it's dependent on how I mean, there's a lot, there's so many question marks in this. This is a hugely important game, also, by the way, for both of you because you're both 2-3 right now.
Yep.
So, you know,
Three
like,
a lot different than 2 and 4.
yeah, I mean, like one moves to 500, the other one you're talking 2 weeks again before you can get back to 500. So, really important game. Yeah, I will favor Tillett slightly because I think that there's
Not even slightly. You have to favor Tilla.
yeah, slightly, but it could it
Slightly, but it's real close.
yeah, it's real close. But I will go with Tillett in this one.
Not surprising. I'm going with Tillett as well.
Colin versus Prescott.
Yeah, but I mean it's Detroit. I mean, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, Geno Smith threw all over them.
I know.
So look at it this way. Detroit 390 Geno. So their secondary is not that good.
Yeah. I mean, look,
Would you consider Geno? I don't know.
My feeling about this,
But Hutchinson is really good at getting to the quarterback too, so you might lose points with some sacks.
But so is TJ Watt. He still got at least 20 points. So I think that wasn't terrible for Dallas this past week.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's more the incompetence of the Pittsburgh offense than the Dallas defense being that good. You know.
And I think it all depends on if Marvin Harrison Jr. has any kind of bounce back game, or if he scores in the low points, it's over because you have to have a wide receiver.
Mm. All right, let's move on to the next game. We can go and discuss. Let's just go down the line. Lightning Rods versus Gronky Kong right here. So 103, so 107.76 to 103.32. Gronky Kong is a favorite, 54% to 46% favorite. So he has my discarded trash of a quarterback, Jared Goff, going at Dallas versus Joe Burrow at the Giants. I wonder if he's going to perform like he did last week. Then you have Drake London at Carolina. See if that continues versus McLaurin at Baltimore. Higgins. So you have, once again, the Lightning Rods are throwing, their quarterback is throwing to the receiver on their opponent. And then Wilson versus Buffalo for the Lightning Rods. Then you have Brian Robinson at Baltimore versus Kenneth Walker versus San Francisco. Eckler with a Q at Baltimore. So he's going with both Washington running backs in that game, both with Qs.
Both with Qs?
Against James Conner at Green Bay. And then you have the this is an interesting matchup. The tight ends, you have Likely versus Andrews.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So, who gets the ball? And then he's going with the jumbo package, which Conklin on Monday night versus Williams. This is an intriguing matchup. You have the Chargers defense and then the Pittsburgh defense and Boswell and Elliott.
Obviously, Gronky Khan needs this more than Lightning Rods.
What's that?
Gronky Khan needs the win more than Lightning Rods, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Wow.
The Likely and Andrews are starting tight ends.
Yeah.
Probably gonna be that other tight end that gets the ball.
Yeah, I know exactly. I certainly cannot pick I have no you have no idea. That's just throwing darts at a wall between which one's going to get it.
That's a gutsy call going with Andrews. He hasn't done jack.
I mean, he did well, he hasn't, but last week he finally, I mean, he got 9.
If you look at Likely's numbers, they're very misleading. 3 catches for 13 yards with 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's you know, yeah.
How often is that going to happen? It's basically 3 catches for 13 yards. So it's horrid versus horrid.
So interesting. But if one of them gets a touchdown, like if Lamar throws to them for one of them for a touchdown, I mean that's a huge advantage.
Yeah, that's more than they're projected.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, I look at this. I feel like there's an advantage certainly at quarterback and with the wide receivers with the lightning rods. I think the advantage for the running back shifts over to Gronky Kong. Tight end is who has I have no idea. Flex I would give to Gronky Kong, and then at the other end, I don't know. So it's this is a tough one. I feel like Gronky Kong has a slight edge.
Look, even if everything goes Gronky Kong's way, he's still only favored by 4 points.
Yeah, but I mean,
That's pretty bad.
Sure.
Those players are not scoring any touchdowns.
That is a problem. I mean, this running back situation for the lightning rods, though. Robinson got 20. Then Eckler, what has Eckler done? He's done fine. Does he have a backup in case? Charbonnet, which is why he's going with both of them. To run both Washington running backs in this game against Baltimore, I feel like that's troubling. I think there's some tough. Yeah, but Walker versus San Francisco on Thursday, and Connor.
Yeah, here's where lightning. So both of his running backs are going at 1 o'clock.
Yeah,
they're both Qs. So let's just say in a nightmare, both of them are out. His backup plays Thursday, so we have already missed the chance to put the backup.
So I'll have to pick up somebody.
Some piece of crap because the running back market right now is putrid.
Right. Oh yeah.
So he has to hope that one of them is active. If both of them are inactive, he's picking up 2 putrid pieces of trash. His good running back is a Q on the bench and has a bye. It doesn't even matter.
I think I'm gonna go with Gronky Kong in this game. I think that there's some intangibles that are his
too much mess over there.
Yeah.
Slightly leaning Gronky Kong, but damn, this matchup is like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next game. Clever Name Pending versus South Florida Primetime. So the Primetime is favored 119.78 to 96.90, a 70 to 30% favorite already, and he has all of his players in there. But we made this mistake last week.
We made it. I'm not going to do it again.
I know. This is a tough one. So you got Geno Smith going Thursday night versus San Francisco. And then Kirk Cousins at Carolina. Still another good matchup. You got Ayuk on Thursday night at Seattle, so in that game, and then you have Jamar Chase playing against the Giants. A. Mitchell. I
made fun of all of these people. I'm not doing it again.
Yeah, whenever I've seen Brown.
A. Mitchell minus will be Jerry Rice to me.
You got Henry and Tracy. Tracy, another one.
Tracy minus will be Emmitt Smith.
Going against Cook and Hubbard, then Freiermuth versus and then Dell. So the tank, one half of the tank going at New England versus Brown, the running back in Cincinnati. Tucker versus Fairbairn, Buffalo, and Philadelphia. Look, on paper, Dr. Hockey should win this game. But
it's the lock of the century. Yeah, pencil in Clever Name Pending at 3-3.
I'm going to say Hockey wins this still because I'm just going to go with the percent.
You're going to be that guy. Okay, I'm not even messing with that. I say Clever Name Pending on this one.
I am going to be that guy. I got to go based on just logic.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, well.
I think the wild card is Kirk Cousins again.
Yep.
Or Mitchell, or Tracy, or any of these people that we've never heard of.
People that I think are losers, they're the wild cards.
Yeah. Derrick Henry will get his.
Yep. And then he's got Derrick Henry to boot. I think Dr. Hockey better watch out.
I'm shocked at Derrick Henry. The guy is ancient, yet he's still Isn't he the top running back in the league right now?
Yeah.
Crazy. Like every year, it just seems like, oh, we think, Brees Hall is going to do this, like Bijan, this, and then like at the end of the year, it's Derrick Henry.
What is he? 28. He's ancient. I love it.
He's 32.
Is he? Yeah. Still 32. I don't even remember that so long ago. Yeah.
And I mean, Jonathan Taylor might even be replacing Dick Tracy. He's week to week he might actually be in there. That definitely shifts it in favor of Clever Name Pending.
Yeah. What's Clever Name Pending's record?
He's 2-3.
2-3 as well.
After a Hagler's mauling last week, he's 2-3.
I gotta pick. I'm sorry. I look. I would not be surprised given the results of that. But come on. I mean, really? Is he just? I mean,
You're missing.
You're mute.
I'm telling you right now, you're making a mistake. This is the exact same situation I was in. I'm going for Clever Name Pending.
And I fully acknowledge that is possible, but I'm certainly going with Dr. Hockey.
Of course you are, because it hasn't happened to you yet. Wait till you play him.
Have I played him?
And the projection is 150 to 30.
I'm going with Dr. Hockey. I think Kirk Cousins is also due for a stinker.
I mean, he had 8.
That's right, because you guys are not playing him. Trust me, I've learned firsthand what this guy can do.
I mean, Kirk Cousins, I don't think he's due for a stinker. I think he's going to have actually a really good game.
Mm-hmm. You back in the San Francisco offense.
I think in 2 weeks he's due for a bad game, but I think this week he's going to do fine. Yeah. But all right. Moving on to, are we here yet? Have we done every other game except for the fan and this ultimate battle?
Whalers versus Lions?
Is that it? Is that all right? Wow, we've gone through pretty quickly in the second half. All right, the battle for the basement, as the Detroit Whalers are favored 113.34 to 88.68, a 71% to 29% favorite. Can the Whalers get off the schneid, or can the Zamunda get one? Will walk away with a win unless there's a tie. But I can't. I mean, that would be unbelievable if there's a tie between these two.
The preview of the Trey game.
Yeah, probably. I mean, look, I in my hot take of the week 2 weeks ago, I mean, my hot take was that Nick would not win a game, so I'm gonna probably have to stick with that. And I think that, but we'll go through the numbers. So you got Purdy Thursday night at Seattle versus Murray at Green Bay on Sunday. You got Olave versus Tampa Bay and CeeDee Lamb versus Detroit, and then Devonta Smith versus Cleveland with a Q against Jennings at Seattle. So Nick does have his running back one in a bye, which is Williams, but I'm assuming he's going to put in Dobbins or Gus the Bus if he can, or I don't know. There's options there. So his point total will be boosted up, but I mean, like, how much is it going to really be boosted up? It's still be into just the 90s. So there'll still be a heavy favorite for the Whalers. You got Swift against Dowdle, Kyle Pitts at Carolina, and Schultz at New England. Zay Flowers, which he's playing this week after last week's game, going against Wandale versus Cincinnati. I think Wandale have a good game. McPherson versus Carlson. Chicago versus Jacksonville, and New England versus Houston. I mean, even if he puts in a running back, I still look. My prediction holds. Zamunda is not going to win a game this season. That is my prediction, and I think Whalers finally gets his first win of the season. If he does not, I can't even imagine what the memes will look like.
Yeah, I think it's time for Nick Saveri. I mean, with Ayuk coming back and having a monster game, there's just only so many footballs in San Francisco. I think it's time to let go of the Jennings dreams. I mean, for the 46 points, you didn't even play him. Now you're just playing him like, I don't even know why you're just shoving him in there. I mean, what was his latest game? 2 points. That's a far cry from 46.5. I mean, he's had 2 weeks against New England and Arizona to prove himself. He's done dick. I mean, just it's time to get rid of Jennings. He's done.
Yeah, you made the right prediction the 1 week and then you didn't play him. I mean, you missed out. You missed the boat. Yeah. I cannot, as bad as the Whalers has been because of the McCaffrey thing, I still think that he's better certainly in this game than Zamunda. I mean, Zamunda is a train wreck. I would be very surprised if Whalers doesn't. But I mean, it's possible. I mean, he's had that kind of season. But yeah,
I don't know. I think if Olave has back-to-back clunkers and Smith is hurt or gives way to AJ Brown, who's also back, so much as Zamunda than you think. Even with the horrid Jennings, I think he has to get Jennings out of there. That's a big problem. Dobbs got 0 last week against. I mean, it just always just. That's. I mean, it's just horrid just to go all around.
This is why I'm saying this is why nobody like this guy. This guy. So Palmer, literally, I've never seen this. There are no news updates for Palmer in the last 10 days. I've never seen where they're just like, I don't even know what to say about this guy. I like that's how bad this team is.
Yeah,
There's an ad for the Buena Vista Social Orchestra.
Here's the mistake. We're getting into bow tie territory where we're just laughing at everybody and then they win. So he puts in Dobbins, who had a bye week, but he had 22 and 20 to start the season. If he gets back on track, I mean, he's playing Denver, so he's going to get mauled.
Yeah.
So let's be realistic. He's not going to get anything. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe
no news, no updates for Dobbins either in the last day. Like they're like his entire team, they're not even giving updates on them. That's how bad these players are. They're like, we got nothing to say. Like we have nothing to say about any of these people. They're that bad.
Yeah, that's a
we're not even gonna waste the Yahoo AI algorithms time. Are these people even I mean, come on. In 10 days.
They should at least say this guy sucks.
Yeah, or he had one touch for whatever, or disappoint. Like he's not even what's the phrase? Like the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. I mean, his entire team is indifference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
I mean, come on.
Yeah, I think Whalers, gets off the schneid on this one. It's got to be.
Disparity. Look, I actually, so I got a weird TikTok that I saw at some point in this last week that said something. It was about the San Francisco 49er quarterbacks that that the last 3 San Francisco 49ers quarterbacks have gone I think 20-7. And then they got injured or something, or they got benched or whatever, and then they never played again. And they and there was eerily similar things. They all brought their team to the Super Bowl. They all threw somebody for a chance to win the Super Bowl, and then they all went 20-7, and then that was it. And I think that this because you had Kaepernick overthrowing somebody in the end zone in the Super Bowl, and then he got benched at 20-7. Then you had Garoppolo doing the same, and then Brock Purdy, who overthrew somebody in this last Super Bowl, and this is his game where he's 20-7. So this might, which would be the ultimate in hilarity if in addition to the McCaffrey situation, Whalers loses his QB to whatever this ridiculous. So he loses his McCaffrey with the Madden curse, and then he loses his QB to whatever this weird whatever is going on. So I just
it feels like the 49ers every 3 years they have a year from hell kind of thing.
Yeah,
this feels like the year. There's always 1 or 2 teams that have that a complete year.
I mean, Miami is having that for sure, and so is New England. But
the Rams in a way too.
Yeah. I I mean that would be interesting, but I still don't think that I don't see enough on the other side. I mean, like, so you got Purdy throwing to Jennings even. So even if Jennings was to blow it up, you still got his own quarterback throwing to him. So I just don't see there's I think he is. Yeah, but so I just don't see a pathway for Zamunda. I just no. No. All right. So that leaves us with the last game of the week. The gentleman versus the commissioner. All right. So what is these ads that I'm getting? Really? Money medals. Okay, that's what you think that I want. I I've always commented on the algorithms and what they think that I am interested in. And they usually are giving me geriatric dating advice. Which I never want. So anyway, and I don't want any of those medals. Moving on to this prediction. So Eugene is favored 123.38 to 108.69. A 63% favorite to the 37% underdog, the Hackettstown's finest. Yeah, I can go through the matchups, though I'm sure that you are certainly familiar with them. You have Lamar versus Washington going against Stroud at New England. I think that, good matchup for Houston there. Shaheed with the Q versus Tampa Bay against Metcalf versus San Francisco. He's got Neighbors back in there. We'll see if he plays versus Cincinnati on the Sunday night game. And then you got Brown versus Cleveland. I think that's a good matchup for you there. Jacobs versus Arizona versus Etienne at Chicago. And we just talked about how they have a good defense. Kamara, who, playing versus Tampa Bay. And they had and Kamara had a slightly pedestrian game last time. Moss at the Giants. And then you have Ferguson versus Detroit and Bowers versus Pittsburgh. Mooney at Carolina and Stevenson versus Houston. And then Koo and Aubrey. And Green Bay versus Houston. Yeah, I'll let you go over what you think about this game.
So I'm actually thinking about starting Justin Fields against the Raiders. I think Stroud is the more consistent quarterback and can get those, the 18 to 25 points consistently. But I also think that Fields is more prone to, having those monster games because he uses his legs more. So he can have those, 35, 40-point games. I understand I'm a significant underdog. I feel like I may have to go with more of, a boom or bust kind of play to give myself an edge. So that's the thought process. I'm on the fence because Houston's playing New England, so
yeah. But I mean, New England keeps the score low, though. I mean, like as bad as they are, it's not it's it's low scoring games.
They might also be up 27-0 after the first quarter, and then they just run the ball, So I'm a little bit weary of that. I'm probably going to feel like that's the way I'm leaning. As far as I think he has quite a few cues too, so I think a lot can change. I am a little worried about Shaheed. I think what do these cues entail? You can read them.
So he's Rashid. So they're actually updating your players, unlike Nick's. So Shaheed had a hip, unable to practice. The Saints already lost Derek Carr to a multi-week oblique injury, and the team's receiving yard leader, who would be Shaheed, is dealing with a hip issue. Thursday's injury report should tell us more about Shaheed's availability, but this is a story to monitor. So it's a hip. And you also have the Derek Carr injury on top of that.
That is true. That is true. So, and who's their backup? Taysom Hill.
Oh, is that why Taysom Hill was picked up? Is that who the backup is?
God, is he the starting quarterback?
Starting quarterback? That would actually explain why.
Taysom Hill.
Oh, who picked him up? Was it Gronky Kong?
Probably.
Because that's actually brilliant to put your starting quarterback in the tight end role. Really smart play. Whoever did that, who picked him up?
Nobody.
Nobody picked up Taysom Hill?
Nobody picks up Taysom. I hate this fucker. I'm not picking him up.
He's got a Q with his ribs.
Yeah,
Still
with
not
his ribs,
practicing.
he might not even play. So who does that put you in right now? That puts you into Spencer Battler territory.
Yeah, I don't know if I would play anybody in New Orleans right now. That's
No.
I mean, if Taysom goes though, you know,
I mean, he could be a superstar. He could be a Lamar ball hog.
yeah, especially if you're
Or they could just hand it off to Kamara 100 times. So it could backfire.
true.
It could kill the whole offense.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about? I think the AJ Brown. The AJ Brown is pretty much clear. What's the Zach Moss Q?
Zach Moss is a Q for ankle, did not practice. Moss suffered the ankle injury in week 5. Ravens defender Odafe away dove to tackle Moss and landed hard on the running back's ankle. Moss may be dealing with the dreaded high ankle sprain. If he misses any time, Chase Brown would take over the starting job, propelling the explosive runner to an RB2 ranking for the week.
High ankle sprain. I prefer low.
Yes, high ankle sprain is not good.
Yeah, it's not the best, but I thought that they were saying it's initially better than expected, or like anticipated.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
Jacobs is in. There's no Q there.
For who?
Jacobs.
No, yeah, he's fine. No, I mean, solid day against Ram. Just nothing.
I mean, Manny, as somebody who's watched a lot, basically all of the Saints games because of Rashid Shaheed, with Taysom Hill in there, do you think they're just going to convert it to him just running it and ruin everybody's stats? Or will he spread the ball around and make everybody better?
No, he's just gonna run it.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a bad game. But by the way, that could be a good game for Kamara if he plays. He's got a Q, so his Q, in looking at that, is a hand did not practice. Well, Kamara's no stranger to playing with through the pain. Yeah, I mean, he's going to play. He's going to play.
He's a gadget guy. He's not going to be slinging around for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns like Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't think he's going to throw any touchdowns? I mean,
to himself.
Sure. That's the thing. I mean, look, that's the thing. Taysom Hill if he's starting as a quarterback, as a tight end, he's good.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, you're getting a starting quarterback at tight end.
He's a gadget, man.
If he's starting, I don't know if he's starting, but
yeah.
And that's why someone paid all that money.
Exactly. I mean, what was it, Gronky Con? I'm sure it had to be Gronky, right? Let's see. Let me see. Where is the now I can't find anything on this thing because it's so stupid. It was yeah, so Nick and Jamie paid $35.
Yeah, but
no, he's back in the States.
And then they paid $35 and then threw him in the garbage.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm sure he read a report that said, nah, he's not actually gonna play.
Yeah. So he's out there for somebody who wants to take a gamble.
If he's running the ball constantly, and it's just a purely rush running offense.
I would stick. Let me tell you this. I would stick away from New Orleans wide receivers this week.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he's
Q on Mooney. There a Q on Mooney.
There is a Q on Mooney. So Mooney, he tending to a knee issue.
Oh, that's
limited at Wednesday's practice due to a knee issue. Mooney's coming off the season best performance against the Bucks. He's clearly on the same page as Kirk Cousins.
That's a tough one, Manny.
We don't know. I mean, we don't know how serious he was limited on Wednesday.
The worst part is you didn't even play him. You didn't even get the benefits when he was there.
Yeah, but we don't know that he's not going to play.
Thursday, like ago, and then now the knee issue surfaces. Like,
I mean, the guy got 16 targets. What the hell?
And they're playing Carolina. I mean, that's as long as he's that like as long as he plays. Yeah, I mean, do you have any
Yeah,
backup wide receiver? I mean,
Carolina late. So what are your other options? Because if he doesn't play, then you're fucked.
something against the Chargers. Ugh. I mean, Tolbert.
because Detroit, their defense.
Yeah, Tolbert might not be a bad play. I mean, but I wouldn't say. I mean, not necessarily for Mooney. I'm saying for Shaheed.
What was that?
I'm saying for Shaheed.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably play AJ Brown and Colbert then. And then my running backs will be Jacobs and I mean, no A-Chain, right? A-Chain is out. So
And even if he wasn't.
And if Zach Moss doesn't play, then it's tough.
I mean, there's so many Qs on the other side too.
There's Q's everywhere.
I mean, so he's got Neighbors with a Q. He's doing better with his concussion. You got Etienne.
That with a young player, I doubt they're going to play Neighbors.
Sure, Etienne may not play due to a shoulder.
Some lower leg injuries. I don't care about.
Tomorrow we talked about his hand. Stevenson with a Q. Matt misses practice with a foot injury, so maybe they're trying to play the old rope dope that they played last week.
I'm not falling for that bullshit. I already threw away Gibson.
So I still think. Look, I think. I mean, even I think Kamara will get a lot of touches because you don't have a New Orleans quarterback or one that's not gonna. I mean, like I think that.
I mean, this could be interesting for Eugene because his Q is at 8 o'clock at night
With Neighbors?
with Neighbors, and if something, heavens forbid, I mean, 4 o'clock is Johnson, Hill is on a bye, and
I mean,
Waddle,
Etienne's playing early. He's playing in the London game, so I mean that Q.
but his wide receiver options, he doesn't have any because it's back in
the options at backup wide receiver. I mean Johnson. Hey there, Johnson.
Johnson's in the queue at 4.
Oh yeah, limited for.
But if he doesn't go with him, he doesn't have anybody for the 8 o'clock game.
Yeah, and
that could backfire.
I mean, he'll probably. I would, if I were him, I would just monitor, whether or not he practices on.
And the only other person the Giants throw to is Darius Slayton. So if I were a sneaky Manny, I would pick him up, and he's spooked.
Is Slayton already?
I don't think anybody has Slayton.
Yeah,
and he got like 22 points last week, so that would be his backup plan. You could really shove it up banana in the tailpipe if you took that, because there's literally nobody else.
That is a classic kind of finest move.
That would be
He's not a gentleman.
Fuck you move.
Yeah, no, he's quite free.
Mm-hmm.
He got 26 last week.
Yeah, that's really play.
Late, go pick him up.
Go pick him up with the podcast before anybody even hears it.
Exactly. Nobody even heard this. Go pick him up now and then put him in for Shaheed.
If nobody heard it, did it really happen?
As he pulls over on the, as he goes to the Roy Rogers rest stop over wherever you are.
And even if you don't play him, you got him in your.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, wait, up.
You already did. Oh my God, Friedman, you're an animal.
He's doing it with one hand as he's driving. Like, look at that. The man is a professional.
We'll see how nice.
Do not attempt this at home.
We'll see how cordial Eugene is after this game.
There's no one on the road. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I have the whole road to myself.
Yeah, you have the whole road to yourself with Darius Slayton.
Yeah.
Well, I guess so. Yeah. So the prediction for this, I mean, I'm still picking Eugene. But there's a lot of cues involved in this. So
I mean, he doesn't have Bigsby, so let's just say all of the cues come true in the starting lineup. This is an L for Eugene for sure.
Oh, wow. Are you saying that to the gentleman?
But I'm just saying, based on what's on the bench,
I mean, you don't have to. I mean, apparently, you don't have to write essays anymore because he's grown. He's matured. He thinks we all play good games.
I mean, it looks like Zamir White started against Denver, started and got 0. So that's his backup running back if ETN can't go.
Yeah,
Or
but that's an early game. Mm-hmm.
his biggest problem, I guess, was what Manny just addressed. So if Neighbors actually can't play, I mean, everybody on Cincinnati's taken up. I mean, he can go for Lovisius, who's been thrown in the garbage 85,000 times in a desperation play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, watch him have a 35-point game. Or the most likely candidate was Slayton on the Giants, who Manny has clearly pulled over on the side of the road.
Now, how is Washington's defense? Now, I know that
The time to pick up, so yeah.
How is Washington's defense?
Are you kidding? Are you kidding?
They are the worst. I mean, other than last week, they've been the worst against the wide receiver. Like Washington is terrible on defense. They have been, this season. Like I said, other than last week when I needed them to not be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about Lamar going off because those games have been shootouts.
Yeah, I mean that is a possibility.
Yeah. So which quarterback would you start?
I would start Fields.
Fields?
Yeah. By the way, I should probably refresh this now that with your new, because I saw Ertz down there. He's no longer available, and now we have Slayton down there. Mm-hmm.
I warned Manny that he was garbage, and he still wanted him.
Now he's garbage.
I will probably start Slayton. Considering that Bengals defense is not very good.
But you do also. I mean, true though. You do also have the same issue of you're not going to know until
put yourself in the same boat as Eugene.
Yeah, could you imagine but then because then if Neighbors plays,
then if Neighbors plays, you're the one who fooled himself.
Right, exactly.
It actually backfires. You're actually fooled.
He's going to play with the concussion being a young player.
Sure, but but if he does, then yes, you've screwed yourself because you've put yourself.
You're the one. You put yourself in a worse position than Eugene.
Exactly.
Now you definitely play Shaheed unless he's injured.
I mean, I don't play Shaheed, but who's going on Monday night? Is there anybody available?
Well, the problem is Shaheed plays at 1, and then if you wait for Mooney and he's out, then you just put yourself in the same food situation as you go down the games for the day. At least you have Tolbert in your back pocket. And a healthy Slayton. So you have options, whereas Eugene is playing a big gamble with Neighbors. If he lets the time go by and doesn't put anybody else in there, which he doesn't even have because they're all on buys, he has to monitor Deontay Johnson. He can play Ridley, the Indy deep. I mean, Ridley has been putrid. Literally putrid. 1.9 and 2.5.
Yeah, he had that one good game against the Jets, but that's it.
I don't know. I think this game brings a lot of intrigue.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said,
there's so many questions.
I know, literally. I would go, but I still look until Eugene loses. I'm not gonna doubt him yet.
I'm gonna go with the fan. I mean, Eugene is gonna win this game. He has 4 Qs going into this. If all 4 are turned into outs, he's gonna lose.
Yeah,
I think his cues are better than my cues. Like if you because they're all like upper body. There's like Kamara with the hand, there's a shoulder. Like those guys typically play. The guys with ankle problems, knee problems, those unless the lower body injuries are always worse unless it's the head.
Well, this game, both of you are waiting in the queue to find out who.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think these are slightly better. So
Sure. All right. So, are you picking yourself in the? I mean, you're picking him in. All right. Oh wait. Sorry, I didn't mean to stop sharing. Not that this matters to you because you can't even see that. But yeah. So we have our upset of the week, the favorite of the week, and if anybody has a hot take of the week. So my upset of the week. Where am I gonna go with this? Where do you go with the upset of the week in this one? I mean,
Upset of the week. I mean, I don't know what's going on over there. I mean, basically the two running back situation with Gronky Kong and Lightning Rods. And he's down by 4. Can you pick the Lightning Rods?
I mean, Mister, who you don't have confidence in Clever Name Pending to be your upset of the week?
It's a lot of points.
Was last week too, and he's still got Kirk Cousins. I'm going to go Clever Name Pending with my upset of the week. I mean, in reality, it should be the lock of the week. but my lock of the week is going to be Whalers. Whalers over Nick.
Oh, because you're going with the trend. Your hot take: Nick's not going to win a game.
Exactly. I don't think this is the one that he's going to win. So yes, my upset of the week is going to be Clever Name Pending. My lock of the week is going to be the Whalers. And my hot take of the week is actually going to be that 3 of these games are going to be decided by one player.
Oh, okay.
I think I forgot which games I was looking at, but as I was going down the line, I think the Hagglers game is going to be decided by one player going off. I think that the game with Kirk Cousins is going to be decided by one player, and I think it was the primetime game. Who was in this game? Let me see for a second. Oh, that's the Cousins game. I think that's going to be decided by Cousins. Yeah, I think 3 of these games are going to be decided by one player.
My hot take of the week is I think the Whalers is going to beat Zamunda, but I think the tie is going to be in question late into Sunday. So I think it's going to be like, probably like 73 to 69, like.
You're going for the push. You're going for the push. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. If they could tie, that would be amazing. I mean, like, I would just love for it to be in the same point. I mean, I can't imagine. Could you imagine? Like, what are the odds of just tying in this league? Because to get down to the decimal point, that would be just phenomenal. Phenomenal drama.
Monday night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that there is a possibility of that happening. And, like, I think it will, like, Whalers will squeak it out, but it's going to come into play at some point. That's my hot take of the week.
I like it very much. Do you have a lock of the week and an upset of the week?
My lock of the week is going to be hard to say without seeing it. Upset of the week is going to be.
Well, so was I favored? No, I'm the underdog.
Yeah, I think it's going to be you because you're the upset of the week.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did pick me. Sure, there you go. You picked that would make sense. And then the lock of the week.
Probably. Well, I guess not with the Whalers being having said that the tie is in play. If the Qs are what I think they will be, I have to go with Eugene.
Well, you mean you? Sorry.
Yeah,
For the,
with the injury bug kind of hitting my team, and I think the Q's I think like besides Neighbors, I think all of his other guys will play. So I think he's a significant favorite.
yeah. I mean, that's interesting because I considered locking myself as a loss for the week as well. And Geese.
Well, the lock of the week is like if you're gonna go with that trend, we're gonna go Whalers over Nick. I think that's the lock of the week. I think the numbers have already been skewed. I mean, he doesn't have Kyron Williams in there, but I mean his running back choices. I mean, Dobbins can bounce back and maybe make it close, but it's already 71-29. How much can Dobbins do? So lock of the week is Whalers over Nick. Upset of the week, we're gonna go with we're gonna have to go with Clever Name Pending. Like you said. I mean, these never heard of these guys.
Yep. All
I got
right.
annoyed by these guys. And then I don't really have to think.
What's that? Oh, I was like,
No.
Okay. Well, I guess that's gonna do it. Get home safely to your destination. Thanks for joining. And yeah. Good luck everybody this week. Once again, we're not going to be on next week. We'll probably be on in 2 weeks, but the schedule is up in the air. We'll see. I mean, I think we could probably record that on the Tuesday and get it out on Thursday. So that actually might not be affected too much. But but next week we're definitely off. So until 2 weeks at least, everybody, good luck this week, and we'll see you next time.
All right, peace out.